Hey, what's going on, guys? Rob with 3 Strong here. Today I want to answer a question that I've actually received a lot in this past week. You know who you are. You know who you are. Who asked that question? Anyway, that question is, I got this little thing of fat here. I got this last little bit. I got these pesky little areas. How do I get rid of the fat on that little area? Well, there's multiple parts to this, and I'm sure everyone has. I got that little spare tire, like no matter how hard I work, I can't get that extra little bit off. What do I do about that? So, the first thing is we can't spot reduce. You can't focus on a certain area to lose fat, and that's really what we're talking about. We can focus on certain muscle groups to work, and you can develop the muscle. But the fat over the top of it is what we're really talking about when we're toning up and leaning out. And the fat isn't going to be lost at a certain area around our body. It's going to be lost overall. However, our body, and you can see this with the different ways that people store fat. Some people store fat around their waist. Some people store fat on their lower body and their hips. And this is kind of interesting. So there's a preferred storage site, fat storage site for each person. And this is where we run into that problem. The first place to store it is the last place to lose it. So our body prioritizes and says, okay, we want to, for whatever reason, we want to store fat here. So once you start to gain a little bit of weight, okay, we're going to start to store fat there. And once people start gaining weight, they will start gaining fat in other places. Once you start to lose weight and starts to shed extra fat, obviously those areas that got fat the last places to get fat are the first places to lose it. And then those trouble areas where you're like, oh my God, I always gain weight around my hips. And then you can lose weight. Maybe your upper body gets a little bit thinner. Your abs start to show up, but you still have those hips, and you still have just a little bit of extra fat around your legs or whatever, or maybe a little bit on your arms or wherever it might be, around your waist. That is going to be the last place to lose it. So, if you do have those areas, I would highly recommend diet. Double check your diet. Make sure that you're eating those foods that aren't going to be storing fat. You're not eating those excess carbohydrates. I'm not saying eat zero, but definitely make sure that you're not overdoing it in certain areas which are really going to kind of promote fat storage. I even know, and this is where things get tricky, and this is where some people just have to accept what they have. I know people who compete in figure competitions and fitness competitions where you get very lean, and they still have certain areas, no matter how lean they get getting prepped for the show, and they have phenomenal bodies, really ripped and lean, there's still those areas that it's like they get down to those last few days before the show, and then finally they can get that little extra weight off. But when we're talking about somebody getting ready for a show, they are taking drastic measures to really get themselves down to that body weight and down to that look and leanness for just a day or two, and that's it. And that's not really sustainable. So that's where even if you could lose those extra areas, it's something that's not healthy in the long term. And that's where acceptance really comes in, and going, hey, I've done everything I possibly can. I just have the body that wants to store fat in this area, and I'm doing what I can, and I just have to say, hey, this is the best possible body that I've worked for, that I can have genetically. And, let me just rock it. Let me have some confidence and wear those bathing suits and wear those clothes or whatever, and just feel good. Okay, guys? There it is. That's the long and short of it. See you tomorrow.